When you think of Disney, you probably think of princesses, theme parks, Star Wars, or Pixar. What you don't think of is blockchain. But in the mid-2010s, deep inside the halls of Disney's Seattle tech division, a small team was working on something most people would have never associated with Mickey Mouse: a public-private hybrid blockchain protocol. That's right, Disney, the same company that brought you Frozen, Marvel, and The Mandalorian, was quietly developing its own blockchain technology. Not a licensing deal, not a sponsorship. They were actually building it, in-house, from scratch. It was called Dragonchain, and it wasn't a gimmick, it wasn't a joke. It was a serious attempt to bring blockchain into enterprise use, with features like smart contracts, decentralized architecture, and built-in data privacy. The question is, why? Why would the most family-friendly company on Earth explore a technology best known at the time for anonymous transactions, dark web markets, and Bitcoin speculation? To answer that, we need to zoom out. This was the era of post-Bitcoin curiosity. Ethereum had just launched. IBM and Microsoft were launching blockchain for business pilots, and enterprises everywhere were asking, can this technology work for us? For Disney, a company that runs theme parks, streaming platforms, e-commerce, and global IP licensing, the idea of secure, trackable, programmable systems had major appeal. Ticketing, rights management, supply chains, loyalty rewards, even protecting scripts and content from leaks. If any corporate giant had a reason to explore blockchain early, it was Disney. And with their massive internal developer community and a quiet corner of engineers in Seattle, they started building something that could one day power their digital empire. That something was Dragonchain. And what exactly was Dragonchain? Think of it as blockchain middleware, a system designed to let businesses use blockchain tech without exposing sensitive data to public ledgers. Internally at Disney, it was called the Disney Private Blockchain Platform. The goal? To create a hybrid system that could run smart contracts, but keep private data private, and only anchor proofs to public chains like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Dragonchain was built with a multi-layered architecture, 5 levels of verification, from basic transaction validation all the way up to external network notarization. This meant you could control how public or private your data was at any stage. It supported smart contracts in multiple languages like Python, Node.js, and Java. Not just Solidity, which is the default language for Ethereum smart contracts. Solidity, if you're unfamiliar, is like a custom version of JavaScript, built specifically for blockchain. Powerful, yes, but hard to learn, especially for traditional developers. By letting devs use mainstream languages instead, Dragonchain lowered the barrier to entry. More companies could build blockchain apps without needing a PhD in Ethereum. And unlike Ethereum, where everything is fully public by default, Dragonchain gave developers fine-grained control. Think about Disney's needs: ticket validation for park entries, protecting digital assets from leaks, licensing content globally, running internal loyalty programs, verifying supply chains for merchandise, and more. All these use cases required trust and automation, but also privacy, compliance, and control. Dragonchain offered that blend. A blockchain that wasn't fully public but not entirely private either. It was designed to scale, to integrate with existing business logic, and to keep data safe in a world full of hacks, leaks, and middlemen. For Disney, this wasn't a crypto cash grab. It was real enterprise infrastructure, something that could sit behind the scenes, powering systems the public would never see, but always rely on. And for a few years, that's exactly what it was. Fast forward to 2016, and Dragonchain was quietly maturing inside Disney. It had documentation, internal deployments, a functioning prototype, and it had proven itself in the most controlled environment possible, the Disney Enterprise Network. But then, something changed. In October 2016, Disney open-sourced the entire Dragonchain codebase, just like that. Years of in-house development released to the public. And within months, it became clear. Disney was letting it go. The team that had built Dragonchain inside Disney spun it off into a separate company, headquartered in Bellevue, Washington. Led by Joe Roets, one of the original architects, Dragonchain Inc. was now a private blockchain startup with no direct ownership or affiliation with Disney. The IP had been open-sourced. The roadmap was now community-driven, and the mission? To take Dragonchain and make it a player in the broader crypto space. In late 2017, just as Bitcoin was rocketing toward $20,000, Dragonchain launched an ICO, initial coin offering. They introduced the DRGN token, a utility token that would power interactions on the Dragonchain platform. The hype was real. Dragonchain marketed itself as an enterprise-grade blockchain for business. With its Disney origin story, flexible smart contracts, and hybrid privacy model, it stood out in a sea of vaporware, and the market noticed. In early 2018, the DRGN token peaked at a market cap of over $1 billion. Not bad for a blockchain born behind castle walls, but if, like me, you were in the crypto world back then, 2018 wasn't kind to crypto. The crash was coming. And like many projects from that era, Dragonchain was about to face the real test. What happens when the hype fades and the spotlight turns cold? For a brief moment, Dragonchain looked unstoppable. Its origin story, born inside Disney, gave it instant credibility. The architecture was robust. The tokenomics felt grounded in real utility. In early 2018, at the height of crypto mania, the DRGN token soared to over $5, hitting a market cap of more than $1 billion. But then came the crash. As the 2018 bear market swept through the industry, DRGN fell with it. Prices collapsed, hype evaporated, and enterprise blockchain, once the buzzword of the year, lost its shine. But Dragonchain's team didn't disappear. They kept building. In that same year, under SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, the Commission launched a broader crackdown on the crypto industry. High-profile cases were stacking up, from Ripple, XRP, to LBRY to dozens of DeFi platforms. The SEC's message was clear. If you raised money through an ICO and your token acted like a security, you were in violation of US law, and Dragonchain was next in the crosshairs. The SEC filed charges against Dragonchain Inc., its founder Joe Roets, and affiliated parties, accusing them of raising over $16 million through an unregistered securities offering. In the thick of all the SEC drama, it's easy to forget. Dragonchain had some genuinely smart ideas. In fact, in many ways, it was ahead of its time. First, it tackled one of the most overlooked challenges in blockchain: data privacy. Most blockchains, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, are fully public. Dragonchain tackled three big challenges. First, it let companies keep sensitive data private while anchoring to public blockchains. Second, it made development easier by supporting mainstream languages like Python and Java. Third, it focused on integrating with existing business systems, not just disrupting them. But Dragonchain also made mistakes, launching during the ICO craze, confusing its brand, and underestimating regulation. These missteps left it vulnerable when the SEC came calling. By launching its token during the peak of the 2017 ICO craze, it got swept into a speculative wave. In the end, the SEC dropped its charges against Dragonchain. But the damage was done, and the chain's story became a cautionary tale. A glimpse of how close we came to a world where blockchain quietly ran beneath some of the largest companies on Earth, long before the word Web3 was ever coined. Built inside Disney, launched with real vision, and quietly spun off before most people knew it existed. Dragonchain wasn't built to go viral. It wasn't designed to mint millionaires. It didn't scream about decentralization while hiding centralization under the hood. It just worked. And that, in some ways, may have been its downfall. Because in the speculative chaos of 2017, working tech wasn't enough. What mattered was momentum, hype, headlines, and herd mentality. And when the market turned and regulators sharpened their knives, even the quiet builders got caught in the crossfire. Would Dragonchain have succeeded in today's crypto world, or was it always destined to fade? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Next time, we uncover a wild story. Coca-Cola almost launched its own digital coin, a branded token, a vending machine revolution, and a glimpse into how the world's most recognized beverage almost became a blockchain pioneer. It's a story of corporate hype, half-baked ambition, and why Coca-Cola pulled the plug before it even launched. You've been watching The Crypto Historian, where the past is encrypted and the truth is worth mining.